Hi, this is Alanna, and I'll be discussing unalienable rights in the colonies and how not everyone had the opportunity to enjoy them. So one of the main concepts of the Declaration was natural rights, and these were God-given rights. They had the power to outweigh any human law, and they could not be taken from anyone by another human being. Another big idea is human equality, which states that no human being has the natural right to rule over others. These privileges were not granted to women, Native Americans, or African Americans. While women were viewed as extensions of their husbands, Native Americans and African Americans were not seen as human beings at all. Therefore, they did not have human rights. If all men are created equal and human liberties are God-given, what exactly is it that gives one person the right to determine whether or not others have rights? This goes back to what we talked about in class, where an upper class of people puts themselves on a pedestal above everyone else. This mindset makes it easy to justify the mistreatment of women and minorities because they can simply say, they're not like us, they're not full human beings, so why should they have the same rights as us? When you hear the line, we hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal, it's kind of hard to imagine that hundreds of thousands of people in the South are being owned and treated as personal property by others. When the Founding Fathers stated all men are created equal, did they truly mean all men, or were the laws only meant to protect men like themselves who fit a certain criteria? If we were still governed by these laws in today's time, many of the people at our school and in our community would not have political rights. America today is a country with a people of extreme diversity, many of which do not happen to be Protestant white men. I would not have political rights. In a country based upon life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, it seems unfair that only a select group of people were granted basic rights and freedoms. Those not born into the approved church or state, or not born to the right race or sex, were excluded. The practice of slavery greatly contrasted the main ideas of the Declaration of Independence. Africans did not choose to be born into slavery under American slaveholders, and once born into slavery, they were not granted the rights to rebel against the government, as American colonists rebelled against the rule of Britain. Similar to Thomas Jefferson, the writer of the Declaration, many of the Founding Fathers were slave owners themselves. They were in direct violation of natural rights, human equality, the right to revolution, and government by consent. The Founding Fathers preached a lot on liberty to all people and natural rights, but then contradicted themselves by opposing institutions such as slavery and limiting suffrage to Protestant white men. In 1760, one-fifth of all Americans were enslaved Africans. In class, we learned that the South was dominated by wealthy plantation owners, which accounted for only 2% of the population. Similar to today's society, a small percentage of people held all the power, while the lower classes were too weak or too powerless to do anything. Early in the history of the United States, America was divided on the issue of slavery. Abolitionists believed it was a violation of human equality and natural rights, while slave owners believed it was a violation of their own rights to protect private property. If given the opportunity to choose between their own desires and the needs of someone else, most people would choose themselves. The Founding Fathers chose liberty for the country as a whole rather than liberty for enslaved Africans. Congress was forced to remove the passages regarding slavery from the Constitution to appease angry Southerners. Without the support of these Southern states, the Revolution would have been a definite failure. In 2013, all American citizens enjoy the same rights, regardless of race, religion, gender, or property ownership. It is hard to imagine a country governed by the same laws that were in effect in 1776. The American government is run by a man who would not have had the right to vote 250 years ago. Although America did not live up to its own standard at the conception of the country, various efforts since Independence Day have helped America make the changes it needed to progress into a land that can truly be called land of the free.